Hey y'all, it's me, Alyssa. If you see me looking at my phone right here, that's because my script is right here. I also go by Lyss or Alsira, whichever is okay. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a subscriber or a lurker, welcome back. I've been meaning to make this video all last year, but I wasn't able to due to my health. You may notice that there's a lot of books right next to me. Well, the book's like right here. I haven't shown them yet. They're supposed to be all around here, but whatever. So sorry about that. My mom was calling me. And I'm on the floor of my bedroom. Let's just go with it. Disclaimers. I do have a bachelor's and master's in creative writing. I'm not an expert in the English language, English literature, nor the craft of writing. All opinions are my own. Do not take my opinions personally. Also, trigger warning for eating disorders and vomiting. Anything else I've neglected to mention will be added to the screen. I'm reading off the stats from Storygraph, which is one of the apps and sites I use to track my reading. I like it because of the graphics. You may notice from my previous series on this that my reading has somewhat plummeted in 2015 compared to 2024. I will explain. In February of 2025, I started throwing up a lot. No, I was not pregnant. I thought maybe it was a stomach bug or the fact that I mostly had nothing but Ovaltine and at noonish, Burger King at 8 p.m. I don't know why I didn't eat a lot, but whatever. I have ADHD, so my memories are kind of blurry at almost all times. I couldn't keep down anything at that point. And I tried everything. Tums, which made me throw up more and burned. Pepto-Bismol, which came up rather quickly, but it did taste good. Ginger ale and crackers, which felt awful coming back up. And Mylanta, which rarely worked. If it worked, it was like probably one of my best nights that year. Finally, I got an appointment with my GI or gastroenterologist, who prescribed me omeprazole as well as ordered an endoscopy. Endoscopy, not colonoscopy. Omeprazole did not work, and my endoscopy showed that I should stop drinking 50 drinks, and there was a lot of scarring on my stomach wall. It was so bad I couldn't move, think, or even speak. How do you expect me to hold a conversation with you if I can't speak? I almost missed my mom's birthday party. Omeprazole did not work, did not help at all. I think it was because it was in capsule form that didn't agree with my stomach, and so it was rejected and came out the front door. So then my doctor put me on pantoprazole, which I'm still on, and that did wonders for me. Both medications are antacids, so they suppress stomach acid. While I was trying to recover from this illness I still have, I couldn't eat a lot of things. I ate like 95% of my diet. No high cholesterol, no high fat, no citrus, no roughage like vegetables. No chocolate, which I love chocolate, so that was the hardest. No fizzy drinks, no high fructose, no high processed foods, no spice. I could only eat bland foods, which was rice and stuff that was bland in flavor. I mean, I did have scrambled eggs, and that was only just the scrambled egg whites. When I first started implementing a new diet, I even gave myself a yolk. Never doing that again. Never. Plus, the texture had to be thick enough for my stomach to handle, such as sorbet or a smoothie. I just realized I never said what my diagnosis was. And that diagnosis is called cyclic vomiting syndrome. Abbreviation is CVS, not to be confused with the pharmacy. At least there's a name for it. So that was a good thing I could have, especially since the weather was getting warmer. As of right now, I'm still taking pantoprazole. My vomiting has significantly gone down. I still throw up once in a blue moon, but it's only because I eat a little more than I can handle and something my stomach still cannot take. Sometimes I tend to push my limit a little bit. I want to enjoy. I do something called like enjoy now, suffer later, which is ended up becoming a poem in my next book, but whatever. My health last year has severely affected my reading plans, yet I still persevered. As I'm reading off my stats for each month of 2025, I'll also be comparing them to the previous year. January 2025, I read a total of 6 books, totaling to 1,831 pages. My favorite book from that month was the first volume of The Witch Hat Atelier. It's a lighthearted fantasy manga on a mage who accidentally turns her mom into a stone statue, and the mage must enter a witch academy in order to reverse the spell. I don't remember much, but I did remember wanting to buy every volume of this at Newberry Comics at Littlefield Mall. Fortunately, I did not have that kind of money. I would have loved to continue the series. If only I had a wish list from a website that supported indie books in my link tree down below in the description. Comparing this to January of 2024, where I read 7 books, totaling 2,371 pages. My favorite from that month was Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I'm still waiting on the paperback version of Oathbound, so I can have the whole Sword Spine collection. February 2025, still going strong. We have 4 books, totaling 1,631 pages. I do want to keep in mind that Storygraph does not count books you started reading in the previous month, but counts them when you're done reading in the next month. For instance, if I started reading a book on the final days of February but finished it in early March, it would count for March. Getting back to it, Feb 25, Fave Read would be Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. The Six of Crows duology was my first taste in the Grishaverse. I had no idea the world I was entering with the Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom twisted my heart a little too much. Compared this to Feb 24, we have 3 books, 1,252 pages. I remember that the first 5 months of 2024 was spent on my thesis for grad school, and it was 100 pages of a novel in progress, a sci-fi project called Of Three Sons. During that semester, my thesis advisor assigned me to read His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. Gotta say, one of the best fantasy series I've read. I'm still catching up on the TV series. March 2025. We have 5 books and 1,789 pages. Mind you, February 25 was when I started becoming ill. I also had a lot of good reads in this month, no pun intended. Some of these reads include For She Is Wrath by Emily Varga, Immortal Dark by Tigus Germa, the 1818 text of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. My favorite read of this month was Harlow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. Great read, not to mention. I don't know what to tell you. This series is crazy, and I love it. It's a space opera with complicated magic systems and royalty, and we have conversations about the X-Men, and we do bones, motherfucker. I love it. And one of my favorite lines from Harlow the Ninth was, "Hands press, we died." I don't know why, but that just took me. And that's on page 500. Comparing this to March 24, we have 2 books. The remaining series of Historic Materials, despite my illness in 25, I still did pretty good. April 25, still had a lot of great reads, such as George Orwell's 1984. I also read Marina's Eat the World collection. She is a popular singer. We have 4 books and 1,193 pages. My favorite read for that month, The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. To summarize, it starts with the collapse of Earth and follows 3 characters' POV as they trek through the apocalyptic Earth and practice magic systems. Later on, we find out the similarities between these characters, and I will not tell you. I compare this book with Gideon the Ninth, the way that those two have similar pacing, language, and a dizzying adventure that you can't look away from. I'm definitely considering the Broken Earth series. And I will say that compared to Gideon the Ninth, the 5th season is a little easier to catch on to. I've been meaning to read more N.K. Jemisin. Compare this to April 24, we have 4 books, but we total out 1,888 pages. Why? Because I read one of the longest books of my life, House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. May 25, 5 books, 2,112 pages. This is where I caught up with the Locked Tomb series, and my favorite that month, none other than Ninth. Compare this to May of 24. We still have 5 books and 2,061 pages. For some reason, I thought I read a lot less due to my illness, but it was also a chaotic year with everything happening with the new administration, people being stupider than ever, and being confident about it. Me writing my debut novel, preparing the release of Death Rose, my second self-published poetry book available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I also have Kaleidoscope, my first self-published poetry book, also available on those sites. June 25, the first month of summer. We have 5 books and 2,132 pages. That month, I somehow finished the Shadow and Bone trilogy. However, none of those books were my favorite read of that month. My favorite read for June 25 was Ped by Koiki Emizi. I know I screwed up that name and I apologize. This book is about a town called Lucille and how it has no monsters, and yet one appears from a certain artist's painting. The family calls this creature Pet, and this pet is a manifestation of repressed trauma, and with the help of our teen protagonists, they uncover a rather horrifying secret. Let's look at June 2024. We have a whopping 8 books and 2,239 pages. What the hell happened 2 years ago? July 25. 5 books. 1,972 pages. It's hard to say which one was my favorite read that month. So many good ones like Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed, The Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones, and I have the Owl Crate version of that, and Furia by Yamile Syed Mendez. Ultimately, it's gotta be I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. It's uncomfortable, set in uncomfortable times, yet we make ourselves comfortable. Maya goes into the depth about sexual abuse she's experienced and how the fate of her attacker rendered her mute for most of her formative years. It's hard reading through these scenes. I was blasting music in my ears and writing a lot. In July 24, I read 5 books and 2,513 pages. I remember that was the month I was reading the books that either had dragons in the title or had dragons in the plot. August 2025. Final month of summer. We have 4 books and 1,222 pages. One of the books I've read in that month was one I won in a Goodreads giveaway. In fact, it was my second win. I just realized I never mentioned the book I won in that second giveaway, and that was Dead of Summer by Jessa Maxwell. It was an okay book. It wasn't, that great. But just wanted to say that. My first Goodreads win was Weird Black Girls by Elwyn Colt, I think. I didn't like that one so much. Anyways, my favorite read for August 2025 would be Bunny by Mona Awad. We all love Bunny. August 2024, 5 books, 1,454 pages. I believe I was on vacation in that month, and I couldn't stop thinking about Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abike Imede. September 2025, 2 books, 1,089 pages. Probably my lowest one that month. My favorite read was An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. I understand what Rachel was talking about. I understand her. I get it and I love it. The other book I read was Celtic Tales, a collection I bought when I was in London. Comparing this to September 24, 5 books, 1,690 pages. Wow, what a difference. October 2025, we are coming back up. We got 3 books, 472 pages. Very low page count. I started reading ebooks, and Bookshop has an ebook app with a plethora of free classics, so I took advantage. One of the longest books I took to read was The Count of Monte Cristo, which is my favorite of that month. I was on and off, so it wasn't very consistent. October 2024, 5 books, 1,411 pages. November 2025, 4 books, 774 pages. I was stretching myself a little too far thin. I read a lot of poetry, like Jamie Barizzo's Tender Machines and Natasha Sage's Bend, and a classic known as Dracula. That's not poetry, but It's still something I read. However, my favorite read for 2025 would be Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Mariko Tamaki. I was assigned to read this for grad school, but I never got around to it. So there's me sitting around awkwardly while everyone was talking about it. November 24, 6 books, 1,960 pages. That was when I started the Locked Tomb series. December 2025, 10 books, 1,150 pages. I will explain this. You see, because I set myself a reading goal of 60 books, I was rushing myself and kept logging in books I barely touched just to appease myself. Yes, I know this is cheating. I was desperate and I cheated myself. One of the books I logged in out of desperation was a Seinfeld cookbook. That's desperate. Back to books I actually read that month. My favorite read from last month is Beast Becomes Her by Crystal Seitz. I know what you're thinking. This book hasn't been released yet. That's because I read in The Arc, or Advanced Reader's Copy, via NetGalley, where you can request to read early copies of upcoming books. I got a lot of arcs to read, so let me make do and get to it. Last December of 24, we got 6 books and 1,560 pages. My favorite read of 2025. This is a good one because I have so many favorite reads from last year, and I didn't even designate a winner for 2024 yet. So why make one for 2025? I have 12 favorite reads from 2025. I know for 2024 I included honorable mentions. I didn't do it for this video because I was so sick and didn't have energy to really absorb what I was reading. 2024, I set myself a reading goal for 50 books, and I passed that goal by over 10 books. So for 25, I set it for 60, and I did not reach that goal despite my desperation and actions. That's okay, I know I let myself down, and it's not the end of the world. I did create and self-publish a book in 2025, one that I've been working on since before my first book, Kaleidoscope, was even published. Even selling the first draft, you just couldn't wait, couldn't you? For this year, 2026, I just hit the same goal of 60, but it doesn't even faze me about reaching that goal. All that matters is that you read. Read whatever makes your mind tick or think. Reading shouldn't be a competition, nor should it be a completion. I think I was supposed to say. I wrote competition twice for some reason. If I don't reach my reading goal for this year, then who cares? I'm not going to push myself that far anymore. Especially when my health was an erupting stomach last year. And my entire inside was on fire. Plus, I started volunteering at 2 organizations, a museum and a dog rescue. Not to mention writing a debut novel, a 3rd poetry book, and more projects. I got so carried away from trying to outdo myself the last time. I forgot my body was calling out to me saying, "Hey, stop!" No, we are not done with this video just yet. Sitting next to me, I are about 19 books. I know because I counted them. Here on my list, I have a list of them, and it's going to be a random number generator to pick out my next read for 2026. On the list, it originally said 18, but there was 2 that was on back order, and it finally came, so it came up to 20. I already read the first book off that list, and that was Night Film by Marisha Pestle. And I could see why people were sucked into it. For me, it was a little confusing, but I did like recognizing the places. If you didn't know, I was born and raised in New York. I live on Long Island. Let's get to the number generator. So, I'm going to read off the list of books I have. Alright, first on this list, number 1 is Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina. And Sun Swallowing by Dakota Warren. Apple in Her Hand by the Hudson Valley Women's Writing Group. One of the writers in that book, Apple in Her Hand, was my former professor. It was Jan Zlotnick, I believe. I think that was her name. Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Just to say this, in grad school, I had a professor named Shirley Jackson, and so I confused her with this author. I'll Fly Away by Rudy Francisco. The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. The Irish Goodbye by Heather Amy O'Neill. Book of Night by Holly Black. The Muse of Love and Pain by A.X. Salvo. Pieces of a Song by Diane DePrima. Genesis 1, a poppy graphic novel. The Violet Fairy book edited by Andrew Lang. Dance Dance Revolution by Kathy Park Hong. Dead Dad Jokes by Ollie Schminke. Death in Her Hands by Otessa Moshfegh. W.S. Merwin Poetry Collection. New Places by Daniel Kempton and H.R. Stoneback. And H.R. Stoneback, he was a professor and a editor of like Richard Alden's works, I believe. Archive, I think. And he was my professor in undergrad for British literature, I believe. And like he was a rather old guy, and he would go on and on about like stories of his past and life, and like we had like no idea why he was telling us this. And then maybe he was just old and like wanted to share his life and such. And then like one of my classmates in that class, he had him before, and so I noticed that he was like writing down everything he was saying, and like, and then the test comes, and like we didn't know like half the stuff, because we weren't paying attention except for this one guy, and he was like, yeah, so his stories was test material. So yeah. Youngblood by Sasha Lawrence. And The School of Fear by Giddy Daneshvari. So we got a whole list of books here. We are going to go to our lucky random number generator. Type in number 20. I think it's just 20. Now, we already read one of the books, and that was like number 12, I believe. So if number 12 comes up, we're going to skip that one. So we got here, number generator, and boom. Hold on. Number 18, that is, let me see what that is. That is New Places by Kempton and Stoneback. Well, let's go back to my thing. If you reached this far, please put in a cat emoji in the comments down below. If you have a topic you'd like me to talk about, let me know in the comments down below. I do reserve the right not to take on the topic. I will have more videos coming out, some on books, some on my books, upcoming projects, some on music. I may not be a musician, but I am a writer, and I do listen to music, so I have an opinion. Deal with it. Please buy my books, Kaleidoscope and Death Rows, via Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Every purchase counts. I do have affiliate links, and I'm selling books I've read via Pango Books. It's Depop, but it's for books. Everything to support me will be in my link tree down below, in the description. Make sure to hydrate and be safe. Bye!